We're going to go ahead and call the Ellis County Commission meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Donna, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rich Schleier.
I'm here.
Chair Dean Hazelworth.
I'm here too.
Commissioner Destin Law.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Any changes to the order of business this evening? Anyone? Bill? One executive session,
One
correct?
executive session, yes.
Okay. Prior minutes, March 18th. Did everyone get Donna's draft? Yes. Any additions, corrections?
Oh, I have none.
None?
Just
Standard
misspelled my name once, so.
That's all right. That's all that happens. Was it the Destin or the Rhodes?
It's always the Rhodes, misses the S.
R-O-T-H-S. Okay, we'll get you on file.
Okay.
Thank you. They stand approved as presented, Donna. Next item, consent agenda, items A through G. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'd make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G.
And a second.
I second that.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business this evening. We have such a large crowd. This is great. And the person sitting in the back, we do have room in the front row, so you know. Okay. Introduction of new employees. I think we have one.
Since we have a couple of new commissioners, I kind of want to introduce myself as well. I'm not a new employee, however. I'm Donna Krug. I'm the director for the Cottonwood Extension District, and that comprises Barton and Ellis County. We joined our extension services almost 2 years ago. And so our newest employee is actually out of our Hayes office, and this is Bernie Unruh. And her title is Family and Community Wellness. It's kind of a new label or title for a position here in Hayes. So, want to speak or have any questions for us? Any questions?
Well, welcome aboard. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Next item will be National County Government Month Proclamation Enclosure. Bill, do you want to?
Go over there, you can read it.
Say what? Do what?
Read it over
Oh. You want me to read it over there? Oh. Okay. National County Government Month, April 2019, Connecting the Unconnected. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities, and whereas counties provide health services, administrator, justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. And whereas Ellis County and all the counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, welfare, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas, through the National Association of Counties President Greg Cox, Connecting the Unconnected Initiative Counties and demonstrating now we deliver people-centered services to our residents nationwide. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the county to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And whereas Ellis County provides roads and bridges, election services, funding for mental health and developmental support, immunizations, emergency response, online information, disaster preparedness, and numerous other programs to ensure that our residents become and remain connected to each other. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim April 2019 as National County Government Month and encourages all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activity, proclaimed and approved the first day of April 2019. Phil, thank you very much for putting this together. Very well written.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes. And we normally have somebody here to receive these proclamations, but this one's kind of from us to us. So I thought I'd just come up and speak briefly. National County Government Month is not an April Fool's joke. It occurs every year during the month of April, and we do take the opportunity to just remind the community about the services they receive from county government. This year's theme, as you noted in the proclamation, is connecting the unconnected. So there's a particular focus on the services that we provide to make sure that people in the community are a part of the community. So one of the central ways that we connect the unconnected in Ellis County government is through our road and bridge network. You're going to be hearing from our Public Works Director, Bill Ring, on a few items here in just a moment. But just again, we've said this a few times, but want to remind folks that we still have some roads that are suffering the effects of water and continue to be a little bit hard to traverse, and in a couple of cases closed. But our public works crews have done a great job of getting most of those roads back open, and the vast majority of our county roads are open and passable, and we appreciate all the work of our county staff. So,
Thank you, Phil, again for writing the proclamation. Commissioners, any comment? No?
No comments.
Okay. Next item is Environmental Office Interim Administrator and Public Works Director Bill Ring. Please come up.
Good evening, Commissioners. Bill Ring, Public Works Director. Before you, I have one of 3 agenda items to go through. And as we spoke at the budget session Friday, this is part of our efficiency and reorganization strategy in the environmental office, and we will be finalizing that with you at the 3rd meeting of this month. So in the meantime, we need to actually have an official office manager, and so through this agenda item, I'm asking that you appoint Mason Reuter, who's an environmental associate with us now, to take over that position for a period not to exceed, as it states, 1 month.
Commissioners, any questions on that? That's pretty standard.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
We will
And
need a-
Phil, you're working on a new job description, or is that,
thank you, Commissioner Schleier. Yes, Bill and I were just discussing it this afternoon. There are actually a couple of new job descriptions in the works for the environmental office.
okay.
Thank you. This time we need a motion to approve the interim position.
I move the commission approve the interim appointment of Mason Reuter, environmental associate, to the administrator of the environmental office for a period not to exceed 1 month, and to increase his salary to a step 4.
I'll second the motion.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. Commissioners, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Bill. You can move on to your sale of your 1 acre.
As the commission will remember, back in the beginning of March, the March 4th meeting, we brought to you an agenda item for the sale of 1 acre that was in the middle of a 320-acre tract the gentleman bought at auction. When staff looked into this, it was determined that there was an oil rights issue, and subsequently we're asking you to consider reapproving this, where it had said prior surface rights only, and it actually should be to include the mineral rights, which he also did purchase with the half section. Everything else pretty much remains the same per statute. As long as this does not exceed $1,000, the commission can do this at your meeting.
Thank Again, we do have that motion in front of us. Does anybody have any questions about that?
No questions.
Dustin? No?
No.
I move the commission adopt resolution number 2019-06.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. On the motion carries 3-0. Next, Bill.
And number 3 would be, we just want to give you an updated report. A few months ago, you approved Penco Engineering to do the bridge inspection for us for the biennial, which we do it every 2 years on the even years. And with me tonight, and I would ask him to come up, is Jordan Detmer, who's one of the principals and the engineer that actually did this for us. And I will be sharing with you, I brought each of you a copy of that report, and then Jordan also has some information he wants to share with you. And if there's any specific questions you have, feel free to either ask me or Jordan about the bridges.
Good evening. As he stated, my name is Jordan Detmer, and I'm with Penco Engineering. And to supplement that report, I brought a one-page report. By all means, it's not the official as that is, but it's a handy way for me to look at bridges in just a couple minutes on an entire owner group. Overall, your guys' bridges are in pretty good shape in comparison to neighboring owners and entities. You guys have, I don't know the way you like to look at bridges. Everybody's a little different. There's buzzwords around like structurally deficient, functionally obsolete, and those are being changed all the time, it seems like. But by old definition of structurally deficient bridges, you guys have 26. By the federal, the new federal definition of structurally deficient bridges, which only includes condition ratings of 4 or less, you only have 7. So that's pretty good. That's about 13% by the old definition, and I think I lost my page here. And 3.5% by the new definition. So, that being said, there's a lot of old structures still. There's a few bad decks, substructures, as everyone's probably well aware. But I'd be happy. Do you guys have any questions?
Not till we probably look through the book, we
It's
don't.
pretty brief. It's too brief. Do you have anything you want me to add?
Just that, you know, they do a thorough inspection. They do it in November, so they can get a much better look. Vegetation's out of the way, and they go under, over, around, through. They provide a complete pictorial slideshow of each bridge that we have. And as Jordan said, there was nothing major that came out. It wasn't like we needed to worry about closing a bridge tomorrow or anything. But it does point out that continued maintenance is extremely important, and that we do have to always be wary that at any time, just like I used to tell people, that I call it the shoelace theory, you never know when a shoelace is going to break. And it usually happens at the worst time. So we just have to, you know, by continuing to maintain the bridges, continue to inspect the bridges, you know, heightened awareness, which our crews all do as they drive. They look for things. You know, we're constantly going out just to, I don't want to say double checks, we're not checking their work, but just looking at things, or if people do call in. But that we have to, you know, with 200 plus bridges, that's a lot to take care of, on top of all the roads and the different things that we're tasked with doing.
So where you found your ones that didn't quite meet the criteria, I take a lot of that probably has to do with decks, or not?
Depends on the structure. You guys have two decks that are pretty bad. One deck, Palco Blacktop Bridge, that deck is pretty bad. And it's a long bridge. and-
Talking that long bridge here, right south of the county line.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's probably the worst deck in the county right now. And the other things that I noticed, obviously you guys have had a very wet year. And there's a lot of old structures with masonry abutments or masonry arches. I think in comparison with the photos and the information reviewed from 2 years ago, those kind of took a beating from the freeze-thaw cycles and moisture leakage. So there's two stone arches that we bumped down from condition rating to 5 to 4. And there's also, I think there were 3, they're shorter steel stringer bridges, or one's a slab. And those had pretty substantial stone deterioration near water line, so, which is common, but it happened a lot faster than it normally does. It seems like. And that handful of structures I just mentioned actually make up the majority of, if you look at the sheet I handed you in this condition rating summary, those 5 or 6 structures I just mentioned make up most of those 7 that are in
Okay.
poor condition, so.
So the Palco Bridge, is that a deck replacement or a deck
It's-
repair?
Well,
Replacement.
Replacement.
Well, it's borderline. I don't know if it might be to the point where it's not. Usually we do like a deck repair where you chisel out the bad concrete. Some places go partial depth, some places go full depth. But you might be beyond the point of that being a cost-effective strategy, because that's very labor-intensive. So without doing a deeper study into that, it's hard to say, but it's probably a new deck scenario.
All right.
Bill, unlike Dean, I don't drive around outside of the city as much as he does, so I think we have something scheduled where we get to go on a road tour, or I get to ride on a road tour with you. Is it scheduled, or are we trying to find a date for that?
Trying, now that we're through the budget, we're trying to find where the 3 commissioners can meet, so
Okay,
we can maybe send an email out with some choices, or, because we normally spend about 2/3 of a day,
okay,
and we usually try to go, like, we would go to the bridge up on the Ellis Blacktop, which we're speaking of,
okay.
and get out, and you can look at it and whatnot, and we can give you a deeper history of it. It's been looked at, I think the last time it was looked at, another firm looked at, I believe in 14, they what they call chain the bridge. And that's an inspection where they use actually chains they almost thump it to try to get the sound, and they can kind of get a feel for how deteriorated the concrete is. We can also look at, we talked in the past about getting the bridge actually, they use ground penetrating radar. It's a little more expensive, but it may give us more indicators. But if we change it again, we have the results from 2014, it will probably indicate that, as Jordan was pointing out, that it would be cost ineffective to try to do this 8 square feet, that 27 square feet,
Right.
because then that area that's not done is subject to premature deterioration compared to the new surface area.
Okay. And I guess then, just kind of weighing in on this, none of our bridges have any very poor ratings, just a few in the poor, so, okay on that, okay.
Right. When you get into the condition rating of 3 category or very poor, then that bridge requires an annual inspection.
Okay.
Every 2-year inspection, so it's a really good thing that you guys don't have to do that.
Okay.
And it's one of the reasons, I know Commissioner Hazelhorst will remember, for the last 3 years, I've applied to KDOT to replace which what we call the Cottonwood Bridge over in Ellis. It's on the backside going out, but you'd remember out when you head out towards the pumpkin patch on 15th. And as much as that needs it, what they call sufficiency rating of the bridge is still not quite low enough to get us to the front of the line to get KDOT money for it. So we're still, as much as we know it, it only has a 3-ton rating on it.
Right.
But, so our bridges overall, and even the bridge on 140th will be 100 years old coming up, and it still is indecent. It's a single-lane bridge, but it still is, you know, we don't have to close anything right now, and I don't feel that after analyzing the report and then multiple conversations with Jordan, I don't see that we have any eminent things, but we do need to look to keep repairing or, you know, fixing or rebuilding certain parts of the structures.
Have you had any calls from anybody in the public with concerns now that we had such a harsh winter, freezing, thawing, any issues after this inspection was done?
The only ones we continue to get calls on because of the ride on it is the bridge on the Ellis Blacktop.
Okay.
Up over the river.
Okay.
Because it's a rough riding bridge.
Okay.
But structurally, it's okay, but we don't want it to get much worse.
Right. That's
Bill?
all for me.
Bill, when I talked to you, I believe it was last December, you said you had a difficult time putting the bridge crew together. In fact, I think at that time you said you only had one person on your crew.
Correct.
Is that still the case?
No, because thanking the commissioners, we took and elevated what was the bridge gang positions and made them heavy equipment operators. We immediately were able to fill that, and so Dave has a crew now designated so he can get back into working the bridges. He's got 2 guys that he works with every day, and because of the positions being the same, it's very easy for us. If Dave needs 2 more guys for 2 days, there's 20 guys to choose from now that can slide over into that, you know, to help him, or if he needs heavy equipment out there, or, you know, a excavator or some other thing.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner?
No, I have
I
nothing.
did think of this one thing that I think as commissioners you should be aware of, especially with older structures, is even though this report, and I've stated a lot of times that your bridges are in fairly good condition, a lot of times older structures don't load rate out as well for currently new trucks. Like they were designed, you know, 100 years ago and things weren't as heavy. That's, I mean, common sense. But the thing is that's happening now, just from a big point of view, is like the federal government is coming out with new regulation about postings and load ratings and bridge signage. And it's going to get really interesting. They're still working out a lot of these details, you know, this year mostly. But a lot of the bridges in Ellis County that don't have weight limit signs as of today, that's going to be required in the future. So just something I think that everyone should be aware of. And I've talked to Bill about this a lot, but there's really no major details about it, but it's going to be an issue in the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah, and one of the major components, and I don't know how detailed you guys want me to get into this, but the 2 big components of the new posting changes are special haul vehicles and emergency vehicles. And there's some really heavy fire trucks out there and some other emergency vehicles. That's what we call them in the bridge world. And they weren't being load rated for or evaluated on our current inventory. Nowhere, not anywhere in the nation, really. So the federal government came out with some new regulations that are adding these emergency vehicles to the load rating program and some other, you know, entities that analyze the bridges structurally. But they're so heavy, they have heavy axle groups, and they're requiring postings. So what's going to happen in the future is that you're going to have a lot of bridges that might handle legal truckloads just fine, but we're going to have to post them for emergency vehicles. And that might have some public concerns, I have a feeling, and maybe some other things, but they will require postings.
Okay.
And a large percentage. My estimates right now are about 50 to 60% of the bridges that we inspect will have to be posted in some way or another. Which you guys are currently at 21.2% of the bridges are posted. So that will double.
Right.
Okay,
Something to be aware of.
thank you.
Sorry.
More good news.
Thank you, Commissioners, for all three items.
Thank you, Bill. Next item, County Councilor report.
County Councilor Bill Jeter, I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. County Administrator report, Philip Smith Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes. I also have no report this evening.
County Commission reports.
I have no report, Chairman.
Okay,
You know, the only thing I would like to say is and thank Bill and Mason's in the audience. I think that, you know, the idea that we move Mason up for the month and try to figure out these positions is a good example of cross-training in the county and something that I'm really happy we have somebody that can step in and not miss a beat. This is the type of thing that we're going to have to do across the board in this county as we see the age of our employees increasing and their ability to retire. We need good young blood like Mason to come in and learn the position and be ready to fill it when the time comes. So I'm excited about that, but other than that, there's no report
thank
from
you.
me.
We all have a budget work session on Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Thursday, I'm going to Colby to a cat care clinic on maintenance on our equipment, and I believe Bill's already been to one. Haven't you been to one? Didn't you and Kurt go? So I'm going to the one in Colby on Thursday. So, and then I have a executive board meeting on Workforce One on training on that also. So that's coming up. That's the following week. So anyway, that's mine. We will go to executive session. Dustin, you have the paper.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss potential litigation. Those persons to attend include the Board of County Commissioners, County Administrator Philip Smith Haynes, and County Attorney Thomas Drees. The executive session will last 15 minutes, and open session will resume at 6:44.
About 5:44.
Or 5:44 in the commission room.
That's gonna be a long 15 minutes, I'm telling you. Second,
I'll second the motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Donna, 3-0. Anything else, commissioners? If not, we'll adjourn at 5:44. Thank you all for coming.